Hello, welcome to this First Date Tips for Men presentation. My name is Charlie Valentino and I am the author of a book by the same name, First Date Tips for Men, the complete dating psychology guide for men. I wrote this book to help all you guys out there who just need that little bit extra to get you through that first date, but the book actually goes way above and beyond that. It will actually show you all you need to know to really get into the head of the girl and have her thinking about you for hours, days and weeks after the date. In fact, if you read the book you will realise the true power that it possesses. It really is a piece of work that I'm proud of. So in this short presentation I'm going to cover a few chapters from the book briefly. These include what to do at the beginning of a date, what should you do if your date arrives late, how to compliment her the right way, rapport breaking, along with qualification, which is really getting into the head of the girl, and then finally something which many of us actually have problems doing is arranging a second date. So let's begin with what to do at the beginning of the date. This will be different for all your dates, and what you do will depend on where it is you're actually meeting. Ask yourself, how well do you actually know the place where you're going for a date? I'm talking about the local area really. If you're meeting in, say, your local town, you're going to know the place very well. If you're meeting in her town or in a neutral town, then you're probably going to want to turn up at least half an hour to an hour early and do your reconnaissance work, do your groundwork if you have no idea about the lay of the land over there. You need to scope out the place. You've probably already decided where you need to go, but you really need to have a plan down in your head. This is for logistical reasons pretty much. You really need to come across during the date that you know what it is you're doing, like a leader. You need to show some leadership. This is why I suggest you would turn up early and get to know the place first. It's no good turning up and bang on time, meeting the girl and then not knowing what you're doing. You need to have a plan down in your head and you need to enact the plan and show some leadership and some balls. This shows confidence and leadership abilities, and all girls are attracted to these traits in men. One thing you can do if you're, say, going to the cinema, take a trip to the cinema where you're going to be going, check out the times, ticket prices, speak to some of the staff and get their recommendation on the film. This way, when you turn up with your date and you've got your tickets for the film, you can simply say to the ticket clerk, I decided to take you up on your recommendation to see this film. If it's no good, then I'm going to blame you for it. Say it in a jokey way and your date will wonder just how you know the ticket clerk. If it's a hot girl, then that's even better. You should also have a backup plan just in case any contingencies arise. Perhaps she's seen the film, perhaps she doesn't drink, perhaps she doesn't like coffee. So have an alternative venue just in case any of these things crop up. When it comes to actually meeting your date, I always suggest get there 2 minutes early. No more and no less. Try and make it bang on 2 minutes. This way you're not waiting around for a long time and you're not late yourself. If you're one of these guys who turns up late for a date, then what does it say about you? If you can't handle your time, then what else can't you handle? Be a gentleman, basically, is what I'm saying. So what do you do if your date arrives late? Well, I would say it's very important that you have to at least bring it up, mention it to her. You do not want to be a pushover by simply ignoring it or not saying anything about it. You have to, I'm afraid, show a little bit of balls and be a man and give her a light brushing down for being late in as much of a playful way as you possibly can. Don't go overboard with it and try and be good-humoured about it. One thing I like to do is just say in a playful way, well, you're a little bit late, aren't you? I think I'm going to call you Miss Latey from now on. And for the next few minutes you can call her Captain Lateness or Miss Latey. It's up to you. Just try and be playful about it, but you really do have to mention it. How to compliment her. This is something that most guys get wrong, at least when they're very young. Hopefully you learn by your mistakes as you get older. Too many guys tend to compliment girls on their looks. This in general is not great to do. You can do it at the beginning of a date. Just mention it briefly. You look lovely. That's actually a very nice compliment, and she's kind of expecting it anyway, and it's a little bit of small talk for the beginning, and a lot of girls consider it rude if you don't at least compliment her a little bit, but do not go overboard. Remember that all guys, literally, especially over the hot girls, they tend to just talk too much about their looks, thinking that it will impress her, but it doesn't, because she's heard all the compliments before, and especially if she's a very attractive girl, she knows she's beautiful anyway. So don't be one of the other guys who always says these things. What you should do instead is find something about her personality and compliment her on that. This is actually a lot more rare. One thing that I like to do is, if she's very, very friendly, which hopefully she will be, then compliment her on her friendliness. Just say to her, you know what I really like about you? You're really friendly, you're so easy to get along with. Now, if you give a girl a compliment telling her just how friendly she is, the magical thing about this compliment is that she's not going to want to disappoint you in the future or for the rest of that day by being unfriendly. You are pretty much commanding her to carry on being friendly towards you, which is exactly what you want. I'm sure you can relate to a point in your life where someone has given you a genuine compliment, saying perhaps, "You're very generous, aren't you?" Something like that. And then you always end up going out of your way to be generous to that person because you don't want to disappoint or let them down. You don't want their expectation of you to change in any way. It's the exact same thing with women. If you give them a compliment about telling them how friendly they are, they're going to go out of their way to carry on being friendly with you because they really do not want to alter the image you have of them in your mind. This works best if you actually give a specific example of her being friendly. So if she tells you a story, or if you notice something about her being friendly, then say, you know what, you actually come across really friendly because that thing you did in your story, for example, is not something many people would do, and I really, really like that about you. If you get specific about it, it will come across as more genuine and will be a lot more powerful. Now, breaking rapport is getting into some advanced strategies. This is how you can really get inside her mind and really build up some attraction. Breaking rapport works best if you've already made up a good connection and there's quite a high level of comfort between the two of you. Try and think of a situation in your life where you've been speaking to a girl and all of a sudden you've said something that she clearly doesn't like. Maybe you don't know what it was you said, or you do know what it was you said, and you can tell she doesn't like what you said by her facial expressions, or perhaps she's reacted in a slightly negative way. Now, if you like this girl, you're going to feel a little bit bad because you will feel like you've let her down a little bit by saying what you said. Consequently, you are finding yourself having to make up lost ground. For example, if you say to a girl, you're not interested in the kind of music that she likes, she could react in a pretty bad way to that, and you can see this through her face or by something she says to you. If you like that girl, then you're going to have to try extra hard to try and make things better, and you'll apologise to her, and you'll offer to buy her a drink, or you'll feel pretty bad. The game's pretty much already lost. She's got you, and you're chasing after her, and she's having to do nothing by it. Breaking rapport is pretty much doing that. You will be able to turn the tables on her. The best way to break rapport is to do it over something superficial, something not too important, something like her favourite holiday destination, her favourite book, her favourite film, or taste in music. If you go too personal with it, such as a choice of career or her family or friends, then it can backfire in a big way. So what you can do is ask her what her favourite music is, and if she says she likes Oasis, for example, and you like Oasis, then be genuinely impressed with that. If you don't like Oasis, then the best thing you can do is to recoil a little bit, really subtly, just enough for her to notice, show a little bit of discomfort in your face, sit back on your chair, break eye contact for maybe 10 seconds, enough for her to get the impression that, hang on, I've said something he doesn't like here. If you've built up a lot of attraction before that, a lot of comfort, and you've got a good rapport going, and you break rapport by showing this discomfort with her, she'll have no choice other than to play catch up with you. She will have to build the bridges, i.e. chase you. This is really what you want. She will probably end up listing other music, other bands that she likes, and if you like those bands, you have to reward her by showing your pleasure again and forgiving her and saying, oh yeah, the Beatles, yeah, I do like those, yeah, alright, you're forgiven. This is actually a very good way of building up attraction, and it's a nice way of flirting as well. You also show yourself as being very, very different to other guys who simply agree with her on everything. Now we're going to move on to qualification, which is arguably the most powerful thing you can do on a date with a girl. It is qualifying the girl, which will, more than any other method, build attraction towards you and will pretty much seal the deal. I must apologise in advance for my stuttering. I'm not much of a presenter myself, but I do have a link to my book, or you could just simply type in First Date Tips for Men by Charlie Valentino, and I do explain it pretty well in the book. So I do apologise for my ramblings. Now, qualification is something that all women do, and in fact the more attractive the girls get, the more they do it, which can be a problem for us guys. If you see the attractive girl walking around the street with the ugly guy, and you think he must be rich, that's the only reason he's going out with her. Well, yeah, he probably is rich, but that's not the reason he's going out with her. The reason he's going out with her is because he has used qualification. This is something that rich guys tend to do because they have been there and done that, whereas the guys who don't have a lot of money and the expensive car, they aren't really on the same level as the rich guys. It's nothing to do with the money, it's what they've done, it's how they qualify the girl. I'll try and explain this in as best the way I can. I'm sure you're aware all girls have these big long lists of what they must have in a guy for her to be attracted to him, and it normally includes points such as he must be attractive, he must be rich, he must own his own business, all my friends must like them, he must like this, and the list goes on and on and on. A guy's list normally goes something like this: she must be hot. That's all that normally matters. Now, a rich guy's list would normally include all kinds of things. She must be this, she must be that. It probably will be just as long as the girls, which is where the difference is. Now, for qualification to work, you must build up some connection first, otherwise she's not going to care about qualifying to your standards. It is very important that you make yourself a list. Do just what the rich guy does, do just what the hot girls do, and make a list of all the things that are really important to you in finding your perfect woman. Like, she must be attractive, she must be spontaneous, she must be well travelled, she must be friendly, she must get on with all of my family, she must like children, she must not smoke, she must like jumping around in a rain outside every time it thunders and lightens. Have a long list, and the longer it is, the more powerful it will be. Have a few things at the very top of a list that are more important to you. Girls on dates tend to qualify you, and they're quite unapologetic about it. They will just come right out and ask you, what's your job, and if your job doesn't match up to what she likes, then it can be game over for you, I'm afraid, unfortunately, unless you use qualification and get in there first and put qualification is pretty much putting you on a level above her. So what you can do is go to the top of your list and ask her, are you spontaneous? And no girl is going to say she's not spontaneous, because spontaneous is pretty much another word for exciting. She's not going to say she's not exciting, but you can ask her anyway, and if she says yes she is spontaneous, then ask her to give you an example of something spontaneous she's done in the last few months. This is you asking her to impress you, pretty much. This is how you can render her good looks useless to her. This is something that no guy she's ever met in her life has ever done. The only thing that matters to you is what's on your list, and if she doesn't comply to your list, if she doesn't qualify, then she doesn't have a chance with you. This is how you place yourself on a pedestal above her, and she must match to your standards. This is what qualifying is. Now, unfortunately, arranging a second date is something that many guys struggle with, and there's no reason for it, really. You're going to be spending a good few hours with her on a first date. There's no reason why you should be struggling to arrange another date after this. Under no circumstances must you leave the date without having arranged date 2. It's terrible having to wait by the phone, waiting for her to text. I can guarantee you she's thinking the exact same thing. During your first date, talk about your shared interests, find out what you're both into, and as soon as you find out something, arrange the second date with that shared interest in mind. For example, if you both like jazz music, find out if she's been to the new jazz bar in town. If she's not, then you can logically arrange your second date through jazz music. It really is that simple. I always suggest you carry your diary around with you, so you can put it in your diary there and then. You can actually flick through your pages, pretend that you've got it all filled up with appointments, that you're really busy, and then try and squeeze her in. This is a great way of getting her attracted to you. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. This is my shameless plug for my book. Once again, I'm sorry for the stuttering. I'm not a natural presenter, I'm more of a writer, which is why I've come up with this book. It's available on Amazon Kindle, and I think there's also print versions of it available as well. Thank you for listening.